Hi everybody, it's Chris at the Cloverdale Transit Authority, and today we've got a kind of a railroad slash model railroad history video. But before we start, I just want to let you know we're getting closer and closer to 1,000 subscribers. So if you like this video, you like the other videos we have, give us a thumbs up. Click like and click subscribe, and also you can click the bell that gives you a notification of when we put a new video up. And also at this point right now, YouTube allows us to have a little thanks button underneath the video screen. It allows people to send us a couple of bucks to help us support the channel and get some better production equipment and do some different things that maybe you'll find interesting. So if you feel so inclined to do that, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine too. All right, hey, on with the video. So my dad went to an antique store, and he saw a number of four Lionel cars, and he saw there was a tender, a 2666W tender, and he knows that as I'm restoring some of the steam locomotives, when I pick these things up on eBay or at a train show or whatever, they don't always have the tender with them. Somehow they've gotten separated, so he'll pick up these tenders when he sees them. So he got this tender, and I noticed that the tender, instead of a drawbar on the front, it had another knuckle coupler. And then I flipped it over and I looked at these trucks and I thought, well, this obviously has been adapted for something. My dad said, well, there's two other cars there. There's a work caboose, a 6419 work caboose, and then also a 6560 crane, steam crane. He goes, they were all together. So he decided to go back and get those other two cars and gave those to me. And I thought, oh, this is cool, kind of hook it up as a work train, but I was still confused by this tender. And so I started digging a little bit, started talking to some people at some of the different railroad museums, especially my friend Bill at the Age of Steam Roundhouse Museum here in Ohio. And as it turns out, a lot of times, especially when they were going to be on a location, so to speak, without a locomotive, a locomotive was going to take a steam crane out and it was going to be working there for a little bit, that they would have an extra tender to supply the steam crane with the things that a steam crane needs. Very similar to what a steam locomotive needs, right? It needs fuel, it needs water. So the tenders were sent out with these cranes oftentimes when they were going to be left to do work. And not only, according to Bill, not only did this happen fairly often, but it wasn't just the steam crane, it was the work crews. They needed fuel and water for cooking. They needed fuel and water for doing laundry. So he said oftentimes, as the steam locomotives were aged out of service and they were being replaced by diesels, the railroads would keep the tenders because they could use them for these other things. So I thought, wow, that's kind of interesting. I've never seen anybody do that on a model railroad, have a work train with a steam crane and have this tender that supplies it with fuel. So I decided that was pretty cool, and I was going to kind of put together a little thing, and I kind of made up of mostly post-war stuff, including, I had a little flat car on here for a few of the runs that came along later in the 70s and 80s. But then I kind of replaced that with the 6032 gondola, and then using to pull this was Lionel's 600 dockside switcher, which I just thought kind of looked cool with all this. Could be a variety of other little switchers or locomotives used to move this kind of thing around. And this is the 600 switcher that very similar to the one that came out here this last year with Bluetooth and everything. But this was the very first version of this that Lionel put out in the early 2000s. It just smokes, and it does have a whistle, though I can't get that to work because I did get it for a fairly good price. I think it was like $50, believe it or not. It just needed a front coupler And then Lionel has since redone this, but this little switcher has its own water. It's a tank engine, has its own little coal hopper, so it could run this type of stuff out there. And as I posted some of these YouTube shorts showing this thing, that was the first question everybody got. Wait a minute, what's this tender doing in the middle of this consist? And I kind of told the story of what I found out, and other people have been like, wow, I never thought about that. That these steam cranes would need that sort of thing. And you don't always see that in pictures, but there are a few pictures that I found here and there that have included them. Specifically, there's one with an oil tender. So anyway, I just thought I'd put together a quick little video talking about this because I got so many questions on the YouTube shorts that I put up of this little work train that I thought I'd do a quick video about the history of why there's this tender in the middle of this little train here. So I hope you enjoy that. I hope you learned something. I certainly did. Thanks so much. And again, don't forget to support the channel. We greatly appreciate it. We'll see you in the next video.